the driver, I've not seen anything quite like that. It was a very unusual video, and having looked at other terrorist attacks, which were vehicle-borne attacks, they're quite different. I'm a little bit confused as to what to make of it. The driver in some places seemed to deliberately mow over people, and other places seemed to dodge them. So I think there's a lot to learn on this case, to be honest, and I don't think we should probably jump to any conclusions right at the outset, because it is very strange. If you've watched any of the video, and there's a lot of it online, I would not encourage people to watch it because it is pretty traumatic. It's a very strange incident that's gone on in the city. It seems like police were on it. As you can see in the footage that you've been showing there, police were very much aware of it. So this was a location that had a large and strong law enforcement presence. I think this is going to be one of the stranger ones we've ever heard, and just a tragic scenario at a time where people have been locked down, for the last couple of years. We haven't had a lot of ceremonies like this, so a very sad day for the town. And I will be curious to hear what the motive was as we start to look at it. I think there's a lot of different possibilities in terms of what might turn out here.
Mm-hmm. Frank, we know that the police press conference has now been delayed, and that's a fairly common practice. But what will police be doing at this time?
Well, with regard for prepping for the press conference, you can imagine the command staff is trying to get briefed on it's drinking from a fire hose. They've got all of this data coming at them, and they've got to bring calm to that, make sure the public gets accurate information. And then there's really some really serious discussion going on, likely, about how much do we tell the public? Is it time for a public appeal for digital data, for video recordings, for the businesses that had security cameras? Do we give the name of the person of interest publicly? Lawyers are likely involved. The command staff's involved. That's going on while, of course, an active investigation is occurring that now likely involves numerous state, county, federal agencies. This is what the police rehearse. They have exercises, joint exercises with their colleagues in the other agencies. This is not, sadly, this is not something that is fresh or new for departments like this. So I'm confident that a command structure is being put in place, a command center, joint operations centers being opened up. It's going to be a long Sunday night and quite frankly, rest of the week for those who are investigating.
And as you can see in the lower right corner, just below Frank, is the bank of microphones there in Waukesha, Wisconsin, as we await a police briefing, which it was scheduled for 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, 7:30 p.m. local time, but it is delayed, we think, for at least another 15, 20 minutes or so. We're not sure. Clint, let me come back to you. The White House has said they're monitoring the situation at this hour, what's happening in Waukesha. What are the important details officials will be looking for in particular?
I'm sure what they're trying to figure out is any known subjects or known individuals. A lot of the data will be out there. As Frank just said, there's a lot of camera footage of it. We've seen a lot of it already online, which means that there are also license plates, things like that are out in the open. And so to get their hands around what they actually do know versus what they actually can't figure out, at least at this point, they're going to try and be very cautious in these press conferences. And part of the reason you'll see this is oftentimes law enforcement is trained to schedule press conferences at a set interval. But they also want to make sure they get their facts correct when they walk out to that podium. And this is extremely dynamic. The other big point is if they do need something, as Frank was referencing, if they are looking for someone or something, they want to get that information out in the press conference, as soon as possible so that the public can assist with it, or they can put away any sort of conspiracies or rumors that might be untrue. I think for the White House, they're really going to want to know, what is the motive of this? Is it a crime? Is it a criminal act? Is this some sort of form of terrorism? That's where the federal entities will jump in almost immediately. Or we've even had, this doesn't look to be that, but just remember, we've even had instances where people have driven into different crowds. I believe we had one out in Santa Monica, California at different times. It has oftentimes been an accident. That doesn't look like it in this case, but we need to be very careful to make sure all the possibilities are open. I'm sure they're trying to do that as well until they pin down if this is a known individual, it's someone that they've seen before, and what that motive is.
Clint, I'm going to stick with you because you said something when we started this conversation that has stuck with me since you said it. As someone who has watched the video that we've been showing on a loop now for more than an hour, but you've also watched other videos, and you cautioned us to be careful of watching them because they are traumatic. But given that you have watched them, you said that this is strange, what you've seen in these videos. What exactly makes this strange, this incident?
Well, for example, in that scene, I'm just going to use a few reference points. You might remember back to Barcelona, Spain, we actually had an attack in New York City, if you remember, on the West Side Highway a few years ago. Usually during a vehicle-borne attack, which is, casualty producing, if the goal is to produce lots of casualties, they wouldn't just stop and only hit one person. And what's odd in the video is at times the vehicle seems to be hitting and colliding with people, apparently deliberately. Other times they are not. That is unusual compared to other videos that I've seen. It's also strange in terms of the circumstances with the barricades. There was a heavy law enforcement presence, so this was known, right? They knew there was a parade there. They knew there would be law enforcement there. And a lot of the other vehicle-borne attacks actually do the reverse. They actually seek out places, like in Barcelona, where they know there is no law enforcement presence, so they can inflict the most damage. So is this a symbolic event that's specific to the driver? Is this related to other criminal activity that maybe we just don't know about? I just think there's a lot of confusing things when I watch the video that don't match what I've seen from other vehicle-borne attacks on, places of high population density, like the West Side Highway, for example.
Frank, so far we have one person reported dead, 20 injured. Do you expect those numbers to increase?
Well, sadly, if history is any indicator, the hospital will start. They've triaged the patients, depending on the severity of injuries, we could very well see those numbers go up. And one of the things that's happening right now behind the scenes is if there's this person of interest, and now they're staring at this evidence in this car that they've got in their possession, rest assured that prosecutors and detectives are drafting an affidavit right now, if they haven't already, for a search warrant. What would that be for? Well, you want to get into that vehicle with legal process. Yes, you can claim it's abandoned. Yes, you can claim exigent circumstances and public safety, but you always want to cover that with a search warrant and get everything, even locked containers within that vehicle. And then secondly, rest assured, there are detectives and surveillance teams in the area of this person of interest residence in the neighborhood. They may not have moved in yet, or they may have made a decision to establish a perimeter awaiting a search warrant. There may have even been a knock on the door. But rest assured, that's happening right now as we speak. And officers will be very careful, based on what they think is happening, about getting into that house, because there might be further threat in that house. A lot of this will depend on the record and the name check on that person, what it comes back with, and what they see in that car.
Frank and Clint, stay with us. Let's also bring in Jim Kavanaugh, retired ATF special agent in charge and NBC terrorism analyst. Jim, this comes at what is already a tense time in Wisconsin. Tensions are high following the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. How much will that be factoring in for investigators, if at all?
Well, I think the public is going to want to help the police in a case like this. Certainly, Wisconsin's been traumatized with the Rittenhouse case and the deaths there, and then now we have this right on the heels of that verdict. So it is sort of, traumatizing the citizens, what's going on here. And we got to step back and then see if we can get the picture of what the motive was in this attack. And I agree with Clint and Frank, the motive's unclear. It could still be terror. I've looked at a lot of the videos as well. It is unusual. It seems to begin when the SUV drives through wooden police barricades that are set up, along the parade route to barricade the parade route. And the SUV just speeds right through the barricades. There's shots fired, but it may be from the patrolman who was standing there trying to stop the vehicle. So, but that doesn't give you a clear picture, Jonathan, if is he trying, is the actor in the vehicle fleeing someone, or is he intent on mass murder? The behavior of the vehicle, like Clinton mentioned, is unusual because he speeds past people that he could easily